Thank you all so much for tuning in to this live stream segment of Mikasa Sukasa, and I am your humble host, Niko House. So we do have some exciting news. So the debates have been announced. The people have been announced. Something that I was a little disappointed in, but in hindsight, like I'm actually kind of excited about it, is the fact that Bernie and Warren are now separated. Now, there's a lot of controversy surrounding whether or not Bernie and Warren will be on the same stage, because even if they were on the same stage, the general feeling that most people get is that basically they would just hand Warren all of Bernie's questions, set her up to seem as if she was the real progressive, but in actuality, she isn't, right? They would make it seem as if Bernie was the copycat, but not Elizabeth Warren. When we know that Bernie is not the copycat, it is Elizabeth Warren, and she's honestly not even that good at being a copycat. So they separated this. So there were 23 people who could have made it. 20 candidates ended up making it. On the first night, it'll be Cory Booker, Julian Castro, Bill de Blasio, John Delaney, Tulsi Gabbard, Jay Inslee, Amy Klobuchar, Beto O'Rourke, Tim Ryan, Elizabeth Warren. On the second night, it'll be Michael Bennet, Joe Biden, Pete Buttigieg, Kirsten Gillibrand, Kamala Harris, John Hickenlooper, Bernie Sanders, Eric Swalwell, Marianne Williamson, and Andrew Yang. Now, for the first night, I think that it's highly likely that Warren thinks she dodged a bullet. Now, before I get into that, I just want to tell you all, make sure you like the video. Make sure you comment, even if you're watching this after the live stream, because that is what my YouTube nerd friends told me is the best way to make sure that you remain subscribed to the channel. If you probably noticed any of the videos that you constantly, any channel that you constantly like the videos or you constantly commenting, you're less likely to get unsubscribed from. So make sure you like the video, make sure you comment, and that's the way to make sure you're still subscribed and get notifications. Now, why do I think Warren dodged a bullet, or thinks she dodged a bullet, but didn't actually dodge one? So, okay, maybe she did dodge a bullet. Just a little one, right? Here's the problem. She dodged a bullet in Bernie Sanders, but then accidentally just ran into a buzzsaw in Tulsi Gabbard. See, Warren is all about her plans, right? Plans, got a lot of them. And to be honest, I'm not sure if Bernie would call her out to the degree that Tulsi would, because they're friends. I'm not judging him for it, but he said they're friends, they talk every morning, etc., etc., etc. That's all good. Tulsi don't look like Warren's friend. They might be colleagues, but they don't look like friends. One, I'm sure Tulsi is very cognizant of what Elizabeth Warren is in this race, which is a spoiler, a progressive spoiler. In other words, she's not progressive, but they're pitching her as one in order to dilute the progressive vote. Because we know where Warren's going to hand her delegates off to when she loses. And it isn't going to be Bernie, it isn't going to be Tulsi. But she ran into a buzzsaw. Because like I said, while Warren has been talking about plans that she typed up in her little iPhone, right? She got high one night, opened up her notes, and just started typing away like, oh man, this all sounds like freaking fantastic ideas. This sounds so amazing. I'm going to win the election to be president one day. Man, she probably did it on Instagram Live after her little beer fiasco and we missed it. But nonetheless, these plans all sound great. With the titles, with the little fancy titles. Tulsi has been introducing plans, legislation behind her plans. Off Fossil Fuels Act, Securing America's Elections Act, Stop Arming Terrorism Act, Stop Financing Terrorism Act, No More Presidential Wars Act. I mean, the list goes on, and I think she just introduced 2 more pieces of legislation within the last week. Like, it is literally non-stop with Tulsi, to the degree that every plan that Elizabeth Warren can speak on that she would do, Tulsi has a plan that she's already pushed and crafted out via legislation. So there's that. Then there's the whole climate change conversation. And I think that that's actually a conversation because I believe, I want to say Jay Inslee is in their debate. Yeah, Jay Inslee is in their debate. So climate change is something that's going to be discussed. Who do you think the crowd will react better to? Green military or Off Fossil Fuels Act? So in a lot of ways, Bernie can kind of sit back a little bit. And I think it's best, right? Because we don't want the narrative to get dirtier than what it already has between Bernie and Warren. If Bernie comes at Warren in any type of way, anyway, I don't give a damn if it's legitimate or not. It wouldn't be illegitimate, but even if it was legitimate, they would call him a sexist. They would say he's attacking Warren because she's a woman. He's talking over Warren because she's a woman. How can you be so mean? Bernie, the old grumpy white man. We now get to avoid all that. Tulsi's a woman. Tulsi can talk to Warren however the hell she feels like talking to Warren. Tulsi's a woman of color. Tulsi went to Standing Rock. By the way, part of the climate change discussion, in the environmental discussion, Tulsi is not planning on taking any PAC money whatsoever, not even during the general election. And so all the things that Bernie could be aesthetically weakened by, as far as his approach to trying to counter Warren, you throw that shit out the window when you're talking about Tulsi. She ain't got to worry about none of that. She's a woman. She's a veteran. She's a woman of color. She's a woman of color who has been doing the damn thing with the receipts to match. On top of that, I think on that first night, Warren's going to sound too much like Beto O'Rourke, right? People forget that her rhetoric is not that much different than Beto's. It's not that much different than Cory Booker. And I think there's one more. No, that's basically it. So it's not that much different. The rhetoric is similar. And it's going to be exposed that evening. And so I'm actually kind of excited about the fact that at first I was irritated by it. But now I'm a little bit more okay by the idea that Warren and Bernie are going to be separated, because it actually, you have to remember, like I said, in the eyes of the mainstream, there was no way that Bernie could beat Warren. And everything that Bernie said to counteract what Warren was pitching, the nonsense she's going to be pitching, it would have been taken the wrong way by the mainstream. And I think the biggest thing that's going to be discussed is Medicare for all. Warren's going to say she co-sponsored it. Tulsi's going to say, nah, I've been part of this. Since she's been in Congress, she's advocated for Medicare for all. With no equivocation, by the way. And at the end of the day, they have the person who left Bernie out in the desert heat with no water to drink, while she drove past Bernie through the desert in her little Cadillac, her little drop top Cadillac, with Hillary Clinton laughing at Bernie till they hit the brick wall that was Donald Trump. Okay, and then on the other side of that, you're gonna have the woman who sacrificed everything to do the right thing. I think that's going to make for an interesting matchup. I want to get through some of these super chats really quick. Ruben Massaguar, thanks for the super chat. Warren just ran to a wood chipper. Yeah, she did. And Dorian Michael Armentero Sanchez, Miss Greenbaum's Warren is done on climate change. 100% agree. So now let's talk about the second night. The second night is going to be interesting because for some reason, even though they said they did this randomly and they picked names out of a box and all that good stuff, all the top 5 except for Warren ended up on this night. So that's June 27th. That's going to be on a Thursday. Michael Bennett's involved in this debate. Joseph Biden, Pete Buttigieg, Kirsten Gillibrand, Kamala Harris, Hickenlooper, Bernie, Eric Swalwell, Marianne Williamson, and Andrew Yang. First, I hope that Marianne Williamson actually stands out. I hope she did her homework. I hope she's well prepared. Because although I don't talk about Marianne Williamson much. But it's not because I don't think she's a great person. Not that I don't think that she's a good candidate, I just think that we're like in the end game right now. And we need people who understand the ins, the outs, and the in-betweens of all the facets of politics at this very moment. I don't think that Marianne Williamson has the connections, the clout, or the gravitas that we need right now in the commander-in-chief position. And it's not because, it's not for any, not that I doubt her intellect or anything like that. It's just that there's a certain understanding you have to have politically in order to carry us to the promised land at this point. And I don't think that Marianne Williamson has that yet. But I do think that she would be a great moral compass and advisor to either a Tulsi Gabbard or Bernie Sanders administration. I think that she would be useful in that capacity. I think she should build up her political clout, and I think she should continue to stay involved in politics. So I hope that she's done her homework, and I hope that she separates herself in that regard. Andrew Yang will likely separate himself as well with his UBI. It's going to be interesting to see if Andrew has been studying a little bit, because Andrew is a little bit, he doesn't really understand foreign policy at all, it seems like to me. And he can be politically naive as well. Like he was saying, I wouldn't mind having any other candidates as my running mate. They all seem like they're patriotic and just want to do what's best for the country. That's a bold-faced, either a lie or one of the most ignorant statements ever made by a presidential candidate. No other candidate would say that because they know damn well that this is not that type of race. A lot of these people are in here for selfish agendas and nothing else. Now to Bernie. Bernie will put Joe Biden proverbially in the dirt. Not that Joe Biden never needs any help in that regard, because after every, it's already been proven historically, when Biden has to step out in public on a debate stage, it doesn't end well for him. I don't think this is going to be an exception to that rule. I think it's going to refortify that rule. I think that Bernie will also expose Buttigieg. Buttigieg, Mr. Philosophy. We should be more about, that's a problem with the Democrats. They talk too many policies. No, they don't. We need to talk philosophy. Nah. We need to talk philosophy behind policies. The philosophy of policies. But it needs to be two P's. And if you're going to have one P, it needs to be policy. It could be philosophy of policy or policy, but not just philosophy. Been there, done that, ain't flying. And I think that when he talks about the philosophy, and Bernie hopefully will build upon that, right? We'll say, yeah, we should worry about philosophy, da-da-da-da. And then Bernie's going to be like, yeah, I agree. We should worry about philosophies like rights of human beings, like healthcare being a right. That's why I advocate and introduce Medicare for all, because I believe that and have always believed that for longer than, damn near longer than Pete Buttigieg has been alive. Oh, so hopefully he capitalizes on the whole philosophy nonsense, and exposes Pete Buttigieg for basically somebody who has zero plans and zero ideas on how we should move forward as a nation, policy-wise. Kamala. So if the California Democratic Convention was like the, what's the word? When it was awake for Kamala, because basically she failed miserably and utterly according to California's delegates. She did horrible there. Then going up against Bernie Sanders is going to be the nail in the coffin. It's very easy to talk about what you advocate for, once again, in a vacuumous environment where no one is there to challenge you. And her and Kirsten Gillibrand are very similar in this. Not Kirsten Gillibrand, I don't know why I said that. Elizabeth Warren are very similar in this regard, where they have these prepped responses in prep speeches to sound as close to Bernie as possible, but not to piss off corporate donors and other establishment Democrats. That's really easy to do when Bernie isn't standing on stage with you. Kamala will be pushed back against Medicare for all. Her lack of foreign policy experience will be exposed. I think that her overall ignorance on policy in general will be exposed. She hasn't done anything. She's been in the Senate. She hasn't done anything. And then when they start talking about criminal justice reform, this is what I would love to. I would love to see Kamala on the same stage as Bernie. I mean, as Tulsi. We're gonna talk about criminal justice reform. I don't know if Bernie's gonna go at her as hard as he should, but I damn sure think that Tulsi would. But either way, Bernie will have a decently easy time routing that entire bunch, because everybody sounds like a populist until you are standing next to a populist, right? Everybody can sound progressive until you are standing next to a progressive. So I think that Tulsi and Bernie will easily win. I am excited to see that Bernie and Tulsi are actually not on the same stage this time. Maybe the next time. But, hey, we got one progressive on the 26th, one progressive on the 27th. It's dope, right? It's dope to have that. We have something to look forward to both nights. We get to see them not have to attack each other, but they basically get to take out the enemies of the other. Like, I don't say enemies, but like the biggest challenge, right? So the biggest challenge for women of color to Tulsi would be Kamala, especially in California, because that's Tulsi's second most popular state. Obviously Hawaii being number one. And then for Bernie, Tulsi gets to take out Elizabeth Warren, the fake progressive. So it works out. They get to take out each other's enemies. We'll see them later on down the line. Tulsi people get to cheer for Bernie people. Bernie people get to cheer for Tulsi. It's going to be dope. I can't wait. Hold on, I want to address some of these super chats real quick before I go. Sean Brock, what do you think about the YouTube conglomerates? If YouTubers had solidarity, they could fight the apocalypse. Would you include libertarians trying to start publicly funded media? Yeah, I don't see a problem with that at all. So obviously I will be covering the debates on both nights. It's going to be a long 2 days for me, I'm sure. Cause good God, I'm sure there'll be a lot of hot takes. I'm going to try and focus on the most important candidates, the good and the bad, for the important ones. So that would be Bernie, Tulsi, Warren, Kamala, Joe Biden, Buttigieg. I'm going to try to get some Yang and Marianne Williamson up in there too. So it's going to be a long 2-3 days trying to get everything pushed out. But I really feel like these debates are extremely important and could shape how things look in the very near future. So, man, it's going to be awesome. And I love, like I said, Tulsi has been dealing with adversity since she's announced, even before. And I think it's going to change. Nobody else has really dealt with the adversity that she has other than Bernie. But even Bernie hasn't dealt with that amount of adversity. Straight lies about his life, about his childhood. And I think that prepares Tulsi better than anybody for the debates. Because in a vacuum, you could attack her on these things. But in reality, if you do that when the whole world is watching, you're going to end up making a victim out of her. It's going to come off looking horrible. Big Herb Express, what's going on? Thanks for the super chat. Hey, you think you can get Bernie to release his internal polling data? Probably not. And it's best that he doesn't yet. Bernie likes catch people by surprise. As long as he has his internal polling data and they're making moves based off of internal polling, not external necessarily, then I'm pretty comfortable with Bernie. I think that's why he did the democratic socialism speech, because most of the country at this point would like to see more democratic socialism. So, man, it's going to be great to see. I'm excited for both Tulsi and Bernie. I think they're going to separate themselves a lot. So with that being said, thank you all so much for tuning into that live stream segment of Mi Casa Su Casa. And like I said, make sure you like the video, comment, share. Liking and commenting on the videos is the best way to make sure that you are not going to get unsubscribed. To make sure you keep getting, it's not guaranteed as like most things on YouTube, but it'll at the bare minimum make sure that you do not get kicked off of the subscription list, and it'll make sure that you will get notifications. Sound fair? Sound good? All right, peeps. Thank you all so much for tuning in to that live stream segment. And remember, more than anything else, find your balance. Peace.